Bryant Johnson back with you on another edition of KSPK's Grizzly Connect. First time we've had the chance to chat with Michael Carl. Familiarize yourself with his name. He's the starting running back for Saturday, September 1st game against Dixie State. He's been on campus for a minute or so now. How long have you actually been in Alamosa?
This has been going on my fourth year.
But you're a sophomore. So if we look at the path to get to this moment, it's filled with one true redshirt year. It's also filled with a medical redshirt year. How experienced do you feel as you take on this role as the starting running back?
I feel like I have a pretty good handle on the situation, definitely.
You're a kid that came out of high school with not a ton of options, but it was that raw speed, that raw power at Miami Yoder, the 22 point, what time in the 200 meter dash in high school?
22.23.
And is that still the 2A record?
Yep, almost got beat this year, but nope, couldn't do it.
How close do you still follow the high school track and field when you have a record that is state recognized?
I follow it pretty closely. Pretty close.
When did you make the decision to just focus solely on football and not dabble with track and field?
It was mainly my freshman year when Coach Eden told me that he's seen me more as a football player than I could excel in track. He said I could probably excel a little bit better in football. So that was my turning point.
How many coaches like Coach Brandon Campbell still walk by you and whisper in your ear a little bit about your track and field potential?
Oh, it happens quite often.
But now it's been taking the raw speed and turning it into the productive speed. We got a glimpse of it against Mines last year in the 41-yard touchdown run, but you were only averaging 3 touches a game last year. This season, Billy Lindquist, running back coach, said he wants to see the ball in Michael Carl's hands at least 15 to 20 times. What does that increase in numbers and commitment do to your performance?
I think it helps my performance a little bit. I think overall it'll definitely help 15 times. I don't really know how to answer that question, but I think it'll be a good thing.
It's a new experience for you, but you have your teammates' support. I mean, I haven't had a chance to tell you this. We were at Media Day on August the 6th in Colorado Springs. James Ackle and I were chatting, wrapped up the interview, and he said, "Hey, hold up. Can you ask me one more question?" I've never had an athlete do that, but he wanted me to bring you up and your progress, your maturity, your leadership. When you have a senior all-conference defensive player of the year caliber guy like James Ackle wanting to talk about you, what does that say about your impact?
I think my impact has a pretty good on and off field type of a status, I guess you could say, but it kind of makes me feel good.
Why do you think guys are so interested in seeing you succeed? The family culture exists, but players go out of their way to say this is going to be Michael Carl's year.
I think it's mainly because like I've sat and watched and I've been patient with it and I've believed and like I've taken my player roles and I've understood them.
It's Michael Carl, Adams State starting running back for the season opener against Dixie State this season. You have a lot of support from your teammates because you were open when you arrived on campus about how you ended up at Adams State. What led you to this moment when you look back and some of those moments in your life that have defined who you are? You had a really challenging moment that no one else really can relate to as a child, you and your sister being involved in a devastating fire. Looking at that moment, what it did to you being adopted, how has all of that shaped Michael Carl?
I think for the most part it's just kind of like gave me that perspective of like it doesn't really matter what happens, it just matters of what you do in order to like make the situation the best of it is the main thing I've taken out of all that.
A lot of us, who can always have that phone call to mom or dad and check in when we're low, what do you do when you're challenged during the day? How do you find that independence, that individualism to right your own wrongs and make sure that you're comfortable in any situation?
I would say, like, seeing how I don't have the mom and dad situation, like my community when I was in high school pretty much raised me, so I would just call back to either my coaches or the families that I would stay with out east, and like they did a pretty good job at picking me up when I was down, and they still do.
It's an interesting area to be from, to excel in, and then to still have a connection to, considering you really don't have one home to go back to. But when you're back in that Miami Yoder area, when you're in the community, which encompasses so many small towns, give us an idea. When you walk back into town, when you're going to the local diners, where are you staying? Who are you talking to?
I mainly stay with the Kempers. They're a lovely family. They took me in for the most part of my high school career, and they're a very lovely family. That's where I stay most of the time.
So when you think about all that you've experienced and how it's shaped you to being who you are. What does that do to recognize the urgency of the moment that you do have 3 years of eligibility, and it could be a long career still, but recognizing that tomorrow isn't promised? How does that affect you as a player?
It affects me just realizing that like you gotta try each and every day, like as if it honestly was your last, and that's what I've taken out of like everything, like all my mistakes and all everybody else's mistakes. That tomorrow's not promised, and so you gotta make today what it is.
It's Michael Carl with the Adams State football program. When did you find out you were going to be the number one? Who told you, or at least who gave you the indication that we have big plans for you this year?
I would say originally it started with Ackle over the summer when we were playing on Xbox Live. He kept bugging me about it, so that's where it started.
What game do you play on Xbox?
We play all the games: Madden, Call of Duty, all of them.
Okay. So is he doing this to let you know that you still have a shot to beat him somehow? Because he's taking care of you in video games, and that's his way of bringing bringing you back up.
I would say yes.
Well, as we look forward to this season as fans and as broadcasters, what are you most looking forward to?
I like the bus rides between me and JV and Jeremiah Black. We have some pretty interesting conversations.
Now, who's going to top Taylor Mauser in the blow-up bed that he had in the bus last year? That was an excellent resource for late-night sleeping.
I would say it was, but I don't know how you could top that. I have no idea.
Well, Texas is next week, but of course, first things first, it's Dixie State and Adams State later on this evening. We're ready to go. Had to give you a glimpse of Michael Carl up close and personal. Michael, thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you.
This is KSPK's Grizzly Connect. We'll wrap things up after this.